Hey guys, it's Tombox. Welcome to MST.TV. This is an ultimate counter guide. You didn't click at the wrong place. It's just I'm starting with a little bit of a different intro. I'll do some skits later on in the future, but this time around, I want to showcase something really cool I got in the mail. This one was like super late, but I was super happy. Just mailing kind of is really delayed these days, but I finally got this mat. I think this is actually one of the most beautiful mats, and I want to showcase it because I didn't make this one. I just really like it. So this is the Demon Slayer's mat by Imperium Duelists. Oh my god. The color on this, I don't think this Abrio, it's really not doing it color justice. It's kind of a little washed out. But this thing has really good contrast. It's beautiful. But anyways, let's jump back into what's important here, which is going to be the Ultimate Counter Guide. Okay, so welcome to the July 2020 edition of the UCG Ultimate Counter Guide cheat sheet to help you side deck and counterplay against major decks. So we're going to be going over, of course, hand traps, floodgates, and techs. I have just shrunk down this list because some decks fell out of favor, and there's just a lot of overlap in terms of like if something is a combo deck or if something is a control deck. A lot of these sides, they just kind of work against all of them. So we're just going to kind of cluster them all together so that it doesn't take too long for me to explain all this stuff. And of course, this isn't a grid style. You guys want to go ahead and just look at the grid without the explanation, that's fine. But I decided to update the annotation so that it's a little bit easier for me to explain, because some people have complained like, oh my god, it doesn't work. I used the hand trap, it didn't do anything. It's because I explained that some of these decks require 2+ hand traps for them to work. So I decided to add some brackets. Anything that's in brackets would be some way for them to counterplay against you, or it's a requirement for it to be successful. Therefore, it's a little bit easier to read this time. And thanks for staying around here. So yeah, anyways, because people have been adapting to the meta, and the only way you can beat the meta is to play ahead of the meta, which is why people constantly adapt week after week and the techs constantly shift. Anyways, let's get started. Let's go into some of the hand trap stuff. So across the top, we have our parameter matchups. We have Adamantipator, Eldritch, Synchro, Invoked, and Pure variants. We have Dragon Link, FTK included. We have Salamander, Dinosaur, and Altergeist. And across, well, not across, but down the left, we have all of our hand traps within the hand trap list. These are the most popular ones out there. I've been doing a lot of research, going through deck profile after deck profile after deck profile, looking at their mains and their sides, and these are the most popular ones that I've seen so far. Token Collector, they've definitely come back in. It's been like an in and out card for a while. So one week no one's playing Token Collector, and the other week everyone's playing it because people saw that and took advantage of it. So Token Collector, we have Imperm, Veiler, and Moonlit Chill all under the same category. We have DD Crow and Call by the Grave. Still popular enough, surprisingly. A lot of people have cut out Call by the Grave because it's just not fast enough, especially when dealing with an FTK. We have Phantasme that has been added in to give you a bit of extra reach. People have been just playing this card just like Maxi, because everyone has been playing some form of Link, even in this format. We have Smashy Rock Nibiru that is back in it, like Token Collector, in and out of the format depending on whether or not it is successful. And then there's also Ash Blossom Joy Spring, which will probably never ever leave this list unless it got really bad. Okay, so Token Collector row, let's start off with that. Adamantipator, and we'll reveal it as we go just so that it's easier for people to kind of scrub through the video. Disagreement, well, if you have a disagreement or something that you don't agree with, or maybe you want to add something, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. But starting off with Token Collector, any type of O-line combo or Linkross combo, anything that uses Halqifibrax combo to go into Linkross, Token Collector is there to stun it out, and it really just smothers out the flame there. Because if you're unable to go into your Metal Marcher, it kind of cuts out all the problems. So you can't go into your Formula Synchrons because your tokens are all dead, and that leaves a rather weak board unless you're able to successfully extend by putting out one additional monster to synchro out. Adamantipator's can potentially just end their turn, and yeah, that part really hurts. So you have O-line to generate tokens, you have Linkross to generate tokens. It hurts. As for Eldritch, now I'm putting a check mark for Eldritch because I know Eldritch, they can just play the Eldritch stuff and just play out of it. But the key fact is that if you're playing the Synchro variant, you want those tokens to go through. You want to have those negations because the back row is not as sustainable because it's more predictable. You only have about 2 lines of play, and that's about it. That's where you're going to end. And once you lose control as Eldritch, it's very hard to get it back. Especially when most of your stuff has not been set up. You need to reset up everything, and you can get counterplayed by just basic negations at that point. So that's where it really hurts. So if you're trying to do your Halqifibrax combo, going into your Linkross pieces, trying to synchro up into making maybe VFD, maybe making to double negation, Savage, and Herald, yeah, those you're gonna need it to be successful, and Token Collector kind of really just shuts that whole thing out, especially when it's gonna come out and pop stuff and you won't even have the proper counterplay against that for that timing. Next we have Dragon Link. The FTK combo, they need to generate those tokens. VFD combo also need to generate tokens. You have multiple ways of generating tokens, from Linkross to, I believe you also have the Black Garden stuff. So there's multiple opportunities for you guys to get hit by Token Collector, and Token Collector can always come back from the grave. So if you rely on this, it's not gonna work. Salamangreats, they don't care, they don't play tokens. Dinosaurs, they have included Christian Halqifibrax into their deck. They have been synchroing, they go into Trish, they can go into Arcthese to replenish their hand, and then go into VFD. Those things do hurt. Now, the thing that's kind of counter to the Token Collector as a token card is Lost World. I'm not sure if you really want to use a Token Collector against Lost World, because Lost World can protect that token and blow up a dinosaur, and that's going to set up a big chain reaction. Not sure if you want Token Collector right there. Altergeist, they don't play Token Collector, so let's move on to the next one. Imperm. I guess across the board, anything that's playing the Halqifibrax combo, anything that's playing Crystron combo, just hit the Crystron. It's really easy so that it doesn't generate the extra tuner body. The extra tuner body is what leads to most people's demises anyway, so just having a Crystron there is pretty decent. You can also stop Linkross. That's another option. If you stop Linkross, it won't generate the token, so that the extra body is just there for you to link back up to a Link 2. So anything with Halqifibrax, you can stun them. Anything as Moonlit Shield, just look at a special summon from the extra deck that you can stun out. Basically kind of counters the same stuff. Against Salamangreat, I decided to include one additional thing, because Salamangreat, you don't really just do it to anything, because one monster you can stop as a Link monster, you can stop Sunlight Wolf, and that's... But in terms of anything else, Gazelle is probably the key monster you want to stop, because you don't want them to load their graveyard. Once they load their graveyard, they're going to start setting up the control that they're going to reset back out. And on top of that, Access Code Talker OTK. If you're gonna go for the Access Code Talker, you see them going to Transcode, you can try to disrupt the Transcode, but if you really want to survive and just really weaken the Access Code Talker, you have to wait for the exact perfect timing for this. You have to wait till the Access Code Talker is done resolving, and on the resolution of the resolve of Access Code Talker, you can throw an Imperm or Veiler on it, and therefore it'll reduce its attack back down, and you shouldn't die because your cards aren't going to get popped either. Dinosaurs, it's hard to hit them because their counter is always going to be Miscellaneous Saurus. Miscellaneous Saurus during the main phase is always going to hurt you. It's not much, and most dinosaur players, they know how to efficiently maximize their main phase. And if they're going to be playing effectively, the Impermanent Veiler, they won't really do very much. But anything that is not dinosaur can still get hit, so you can always hit that Halqifibrax combo along the way. As for Altergeist, you can stop mainly just about one card with this, because once they get Protocol up, there's no way you can use Imperm, Veiler, or anything and the like against them. So that's why you get an X on that one. You can technically hit the first normal summon Marionetter. If you can hit the Marionetter, then they won't get the back row set, which can be decent. But don't forget, it's really easy for them to get their setup. They just need one LUC, link it off, and they get their search. Pretty big deal. Next we have Crow and Call of the Grave. Call for the Grave and Crow versus Block Dragon, it's a little bit too late. They would have gotten their search, and the problem with Call for the Grave and Crow against them is that it's just, they already got their effect up. They usually Union Carrier it out, and then they attach and then send to Grave. If not, they already had it in hand, and then they link it off, and then they send it to Grave, it activates, you don't really have the right timing for it. But it's still something that you would probably crow away so that they don't have access to it. But most people are running 2 to 3 copies of Block Dragon now, so it's not very effective. Against Eldritch, of course you can hit the Golden Lord, which is really, really fun for you. And the one key card to hit against the Synchro variant, it would be Jet Synchron. I don't know if I want to hit anything for the Invocation. I mean, you can hit the Alistair, but if you hit the Alistair, they'll just use the spell card Invocation to just put it back. So it's not really worth it in my opinion. Jet Synchron's probably a better choice because you can actually stun out their combo that they wasted in the normal normal summon none. As for the Dragon Link, I looked at the entire combo from front to back. It's a little bit hard to hit them, but if there's anything that's graveyard revival based, you can hit that and it'll actually make them, they're basically forced to extend further. If they have any sort of grave revival, you hit that, the combo could get completely stunned. When they go to the Garden Rose play, like the Garden Rose Maiden, you can throw that away, and then they'll just have no LP. They have to extend some other way as well. It's really hard just because like most of the resources are rather free for that deck. Salamangreats, Gazelle, and Jack Jaguar. I think that's all I really need to say about that one. Jack Jaguar will prevent them from getting the extra body, getting the additional add, especially when they already have Sunlight Wolf. As for dinosaurs, you can hit the Miscellaneous Saurus when they put it into the graveyard, special call by the grave, which turns off the Miscellaneous Saurus and any of the baby dinosaurs, especially the baby dinosaurs that are about to like just spam a bunch of dinos like Cerasauruses. Just hit them so you don't have to deal with an onslaught of perhaps 3 to 4 summons. And then there is for Altergeist, you can call by the grave the Melee you seek so they don't get their search, or you can call by the grave whatever that manifestation is targeting. You can definitely crow that away. Now then there's Phantasme. This is probably the most popular hand trap right now. People are using it like a maxi. Like everyone's playing some sort of link based combo. Any combo that they're gonna go into, this is gonna give you the extra reach, and the extra reach does matter because if you Phantasme into a Smashy Rock, that's good. If you Phantasme into like a Veiler or a Moonlit Chill that can stun the combo, that's also good. So everything across the board, even for Altergeist, if they're gonna be doing any sort of link play, just drop it. Give yourself the extra reach so you can reach into the hand traps that you desperately need, because in this format, a lot of these plays to break someone's board, you're gonna need 2+ cards and you need to maximize, and having Phantasme there can prevent you from getting targeted by stuff like Imperm and stuff like that, so you can negate these problematic cards that are counter to your counter. Yes. And Smashy Rock, this is against Adamantimators. You're gonna need to bait it because it's very likely before the 5th summon that they put out a Guardian. And once you get to the Guardian, it's likely that they're gonna even end on 2 more negates, which would be Savage plus the copy of Herald. Therefore you need 2. You can Ash them first, and then if that hurts them enough for them to use their Guardian, then you can throw a Smashy Rock later on, and that's where it's really impressive. That's when it actually hurts. Again, this is 2+ required. As for the Eldritch is kind of a different situation. You can easily just smash your whole board, unless they're playing Invoke build. Invoke build, they can probably just put on Mechabot beforehand, but any type of non-Eldritch cards, you can typically just throw a rock on them and probably end their turn. As for Dragon Link, yes, Dragon Link, you can basically always throw a giant rock at them. The problem against throwing a giant rock against them is that they can recover, because by the time you can actually throw a Nibiru on them, they have 6 cards in their hand. I know, it's really weird. I talked about it in the other video. If you guys haven't seen the video with Shrimping Zhu, check it out. It's going through it through super fine comb detail. It's pretty insane. As for Salamangreats, before Salamangreats would have auto lost to Nibiru. Nibiru would have just crushed their entire board, turned off all the traps, basically turn skipped them entirely. However, now some of them do run Trap Tricks for Flesia, and they play the Grave Hole in there, and that gives them a counter. So when they're opening play, they start with the Grave Hole play, and now you can't use that because Grave Hole can negate the Nibiru and get rid of it. As for dinosaurs, since Nibiru's mainly effective during the main phase, they have Miscellaneous. Miscellaneous will prevent most of the stuff from being smashed. The problem with that is that with Miscellaneous, you can smash them by like a couple of small cards here and there, but you left all the dinos, so they'll have a big rock for one, and then they'll have like perhaps a big Xyz monster next to it to protect it, and that's when you know you lose. You know, big monster plus protection equals you lose. Altergeist, they don't summon enough. Then there's Ash Blossom, same idea. You need 2+ to really have Ash Blossom to be effective. All the rock excavators can't just throw an Ash on them unless you have 2. I mean 2 hand traps. You have Veiler plus an Ash, or you have something plus Nibiru, or you have Phantasme to dig into more cards. It's really important that you can actually get to those extra cards. Okay, so Eldritch, Ash does work against the Eldritch, especially Sanguine. The thing is, you can always chain Ash to the Sanguine that's about to summon from the deck. When they summon out the Conquistador, anyone from the Golden Land, they won't get their effects off. If you're going to be trying to stop Halqifibrax or the Invoke combo, you're going to probably need 2+ cards to actually do that. But the Invoke stuff, it's really iffy because if they're just going for Meltdown, not much you can really do about that, especially if they already have the card in their hand. Are you going to stop the Alistair or are you going to stop the Invoke stuff? It's really hard to kind of take a guess on that. And Halqifibrax, you can probably throw an Ash on that. I think you can throw an Ash on the Halqifibrax. They're going to turn into Linkross. They're going to try to do something, but I think that's probably the most effective way to actually handle them. But they're still going to have a Jet Synchron to continue pushing. So there's that. Dragon Link FTK, stop anything that adds the field spells and stop Chaos Base from going through. That's all that we have to say. The search effect of the Chaos Base, don't bother with the draw. As for Salamangreat got a lot of targets, especially Gazelle probably being my top target because the Gazelle's still limited to 1. Cyanide Mining, you can give them a minus by throwing an Ash on them. Pot of Desires, it's a 1-for-1, but they lose a chunk of their deck. It doesn't really matter. Like, the people have done the math. If you hit a Desires with Ash, it's still a good thing because you're preventing them from plussing 1. But if they have Cyanide Mining, they can still fix their hand. They can still keep going. They have Lady Debug as well, so they got about 4 targets for you to hit at the very least. Dinosaurs also got a huge line of cards that you can probably hit that aren't really dinosaur monsters. Well, dinosaur monsters on the field. Fossil Dig and Double Evolution Pill. Double Evolution Pill probably has a higher priority for me because it summons out a boss monster that gives them a negate or gives them a Book of Eclipse, and that's still pretty devastating. Baby dinosaurs are still worth hitting because honestly, if they got an Oviraptor on the field and they have a baby dinosaur going off at that very moment, it's a pretty good idea to stop the baby dinosaur because they usually struggle to put the second dinosaur on the field, and you just don't want to give them that. That's a pretty big deal. And if anything, if there's nothing else, stop the Oviraptor. But Oviraptor is an iffy one because it could have Miscellaneousaurus to chain to you. So that's what makes it really hard. Against Altergeist, Personal Spoofing, Meluseek, I'm not sure if they're still running Pot of Extravagance anymore because they were using the extra deck a bit more. But if they play Pot of Extravagance, hit the Extravagance, and there's also Hexia. The combo that usually starts with the Hexia can fetch them the Multi-Figure and a Trap in 3 sets, so it's pretty devastating. That would be it for the hand traps. If I missed anything, leave it down in the comment section below if I missed anything, and if there's any other recovery plays that people can do, leave it down there. And let's move on to Floodgates. Okay, so for our Floodgates, we have There Can Be Only One Summon Limit goes in match because of Salamangreat, Mystic Mine, Abyss Dweller, and Anti-Spell Fragment, which is more like a counter side to people siding text against you. But let's start off with There Can Be Only One. Okay, the main shift here is that a lot of people have cut out Phoenix out of their extra deck, which becomes a big issue because before you would just use like a Madolche monster plus whatever for Adamantipator and make a Phoenix, pop the card, and just be on with your day. That's not really possible anymore because they kind of cut that out because in favor of the Axis Code Talker or whatever other tech, or maybe Link Spider, it's just really hard for them to continue doing that. So what happened is they're going to rely on Tackle Crusader and Gigantes. Gigantes can pop up the entire back row. Tackle Crusader can bounce it back, but the timing of Tackle Crusader is going to be crucial. Don't do it during the wrong turn, I would say. Once you have the Tackle Crusader set up and get rid of the card, you can only really establish control, and then you have the pass turn, because if you have to crash your own Tackle Crusader, that's what you're really stuck with. Otherwise, rely on the side deck games 2 and 3 against people that are going to side in Floodgates against you. Next, there is Eldritch, Synchro, and Pure Variant. You're light-based in zombies. If you don't have a Phoenix, your game 1 is basically done. It's really hard to play unless you have some sort of Cosmic Cyclone that was main decked ahead of time. Aside from that, it's really hard, and I know that your extra deck does not. I guess Pure could actually probably go into a Phoenix if they can generate like an extra body. Veiler would be actually your saving grace because you go Veiler and There Can Be Only One. Then at that point, yes, you can go into a Phoenix and try to pop it. Invoked, I believe Invoked still has Phoenix in there, so it's still fine. As for Dragon Link, they're all dragons, so Chaos Dragon Levy is your saving grace, and you can use that plus a hand trap to go into Phoenix if you run it, but they don't run Phoenix either, so that's going to be a big problem. You know, across the board, There Can Be Only One hits everything, but every deck has some level of counterplay against it just to turn it off. Salamangreats, you have Rage. Dinosaurs, you can use a hand trap plus a dino to go into a Phoenix. It's just, there are options available. And as for Altergeist, you have Meluseek as a 1-card option. You can spoofing into the Meluseek and then just punch it out. So in other words, you have the most flexible one of them all, which is searchable. Next, we have Summon Limit. We have Adamantipator's. Okay, any combo deck, just face the facts here. you need more than one monster to combo, and therefore some of them it really hurts. You're gonna need that Tackle Crusader, the Gigantes, to actually really get you out. Hopefully you can actually get out, but the tempo control on this one's really strong, really just gating you from establishing any type of board. As for Eldritch, just because you can't play your Synchro side or your Invoke side very well doesn't mean that you can't get out. You can easily use 2 summons because you yourself can play Summon Limit. You can just go Sanguine, Elixir, boom, and drop yourself a Conquistador, pop that Summon Limit that's blocking you. You can even pop it yourself, and if you're running it yourself and you need to get rid of it, you can just use Eldritch, send it to the grave, and then summon your big boy Golden Bullard to destroy your opponent. Next, Dragon Link, it hurts. Let's just face the fact, you can't really do very much once you're under Summon Limit. I died on camera. One of my most embarrassing games against Nisha, I lost Toons because Toons direct attacked me to death after they Summon Limited me. Who knew that my bodies don't even matter? Then there is the Salamangreats. They have Rage. Again, it does hurt, but they can't protect their stuff. It's not that easy to break their board. If you're under Summon Limit, breaking a board isn't also the easiest thing either, unless you're playing purely spells and traps. Dinosaurs hurts them too because even Miscellaneous Saurus can't stop them, and Altergeist, they don't summon enough, unless they do, but they don't have to, which is why they get an X. Goes in match this thanks to Salamangreat. They're the only ones that are not affected by this. Okay, I thought the Adamantivators would be like fine because they're like, oh, I'm Earth-based deck. I just realized most of your combo pieces aren't Earth. Your Link piece combos, yeah, that's not Earth. Crystron's a water, so you can't even go into Crystron Halqifibrax. Linkross is light, and what else do we got? Your big synchro monster is Dark, Savage. We have Raptite, that's Wind. You have Dragite, that's Water. You're not going into any of your synchros, and your Link combos are just completely stunned out by Gozen. You're just stuck. Yeah, you need a Gigantes to blow that thing up. Or you need a Tackle Crusader, which is luckily still an option because everything is still Earth. But aside from that, it is rough times, I would say. One way to actually out it, and this is probably one of the more legitimate ways, is so that you use a Doki Doki, throw a level 4 into the graveyard. Once you throw that level 4 into the graveyard, summon out your Tackle Crusader, and then link into a Cerberus. Cerberus can get rid of it by popping one of your own monsters, but more importantly, put the Tackle Crusader in the graveyard to get rid of the problem. There's your out, guys. As for Eldritch, your fusions and your synchros, yeah, okay, so fusions are okay because your Mecha Bus still light. But the worst part under Gozen is that when you're stuck under a non-light monster, that's painful. And remember, you can't activate Eldritch to send the card to the graveyard if your monster on the field is not light. It's just not available for you to activate. Dragon Link, you're under lights and darks. Hopefully Levy can actually pop it. Salamangreats don't really care. Dinosaurs, okay, you've got Oviraptor, that's dark. Your baby dinosaurs are earth. Your Miscellaneous is fire. Your Dragaiolo is fire. You have Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, that's light. You have dark, you have everything. You can get stunned out of your own combo. That's just a fact. Altergeist, you play every single Altergeist monster has a different attribute. So yeah, you're kind of stuck as well. But MeluC can get you out, and you can always use spoofing. I just know that you hate it when you have to do it because it puts you really behind. You're really slow when you have to set that up like that. But okay, Mystic Mind's pretty simple. You get stunned out if you're Adamantipator. I don't think there's any question about that, and I don't think there's an out in the main deck. Yeah, you gotta side. If people are gonna be sending Mystic Mind, you're going to need Cosmic Cyclone, Twin Twisters, Lightning Storms. That's just how it is. And luckily, Mystic Mind is always going to be face up unless someone metaverses into it. Then that's a different story. Hopefully you have an Ash Blossom Joy Spring to counter that. Against Eldritch, Conquistador can pop the Mystic Mind regardless of how many monsters you have on the field because it's a trap effect. Dragon Link, oof, it does hurt. That's really all I have to say. Mystic Mind is just one of those cards that you have to counter side for, or else it's just not going to work. Salamangreat, you have Rage, you can pop it. Altergeist, you have Spoofing to get rid of all your monsters, or equal out your monsters against your opponent, so it's still a thing that you can do. Dinosaurs, you also kind of get stunned because it's Mystic Mind. It affects the player, not affects the game state of the player, and not the monsters themselves. So yeah, Miscellaneous won't save you there. Abyss Dweller, across the board, it is pretty useful. Maybe in the case of Altergeist, not as much, because not as much really affects the graveyard for them. Like in terms of impact level, I guess you can still stop MeluC, you can still stop Manifestation from doing stuff in the graveyard. You can still stop Silky Disc. It is something. Its tempo But that's really about it. It's not the most heavy hitting things for like Altergeist. And then, okay, let's go on to Abyss Dweller for Adamantispators. It hurts them in their Block Dragon, their Tactical Crusader, the Gigantes. Anything that activates in the graveyard, they do get stunned out. Even the O-Line stuff, they won't activate. So you won't generate the extra token. It matters in terms of establishing the board. As for Eldritch, Conquistador can pop it, so there's always that. But the issue against Dweller is that it's always going to activate, draw face, standby, change, or whatever. And you can still stop it, but it does slow you down by a whole turn, which is why it's still effective. And stuff in the graveyard, they won't activate. The only thing that really would activate and bypass Dweller is something that can chain ahead of it, which would be Sanguine in the graveyard. That's really about it. Aside from that, you're going to be stuck under Dweller, and you activate a lot of stuff in your graveyard, so it does matter in terms of slowing down the game state for you. As for Dragon Link, your Black and White Dragon, your Metal Dragon, your Garden Rose Maiden, everything that activates in the graveyard, yeah, they all still hurt, and you can even stop Chaos Space from activating, giving them the additional draw. There's a lot of stuff that you stun up by using a Dweller against a Dragon Link player. It's painful, I can tell you that. Next, Salamangreat. Yeah, it hurts them. They activate so many things from the graveyard. Whether it be like the card reviving, like Jack Jaguar just coming back out, whether it be Spinny summoning itself back out from onto the field. Although Spinny is not as popular because it's just really a Salamangreat name at this point, and that's really about it. But Jack Jaguar does matter. I think you can also stop Foxy from activating, which is a big deal. So those are some of the big monsters that they get stuck with. Abyss Dweller on a Dinosaur Dagger, you turn off all the miscellaneous, and you can prevent the babies from going off, which is pretty decent. It's a play stunner for sure. It is effective. And finally, Anti-Spell Fragrance. It's a counterplay. If people cite it, it's a counterplay against Dark Ruler No More and Lightning Storm, because both of those are normal spells, so they don't really beat your timing for Anti-Spell, and just surviving an extra turn usually is enough. Yu-Gi-Oh games don't go above, say, 5 turns typically in the meta, unless you side it in really well. Both players get to counter, then you go up to about maybe 12 turns. Against Sacred Eldritch, you stop field spells for the invoke cards, which is decent, I guess. You can even stop them from activating their invocation cards. Aside from that, they don't really play as many spells as you might think. They can still pop the anti-spell using Conquistador, which is why it's like mediocre effective, I would say at best. Against Dragon Link, though, if Dragon Link players played this, it's because they already established their entire board. To them, it is the counter side against other people. You would not use it against them, which is why it's still kind of red wherever the arrow, but you might see it exist. Against Salamangreat, you can stop stuff like Pot of Desires, Signet Mining, any of the spells that would help them get effective. I guess even Will of the Salamangreat too. That's probably a really big one that I forgot to put in there, but it is effective against Salamangreat because it's part of the disruption of all of their extenders and the extra reach for consistency. Dinosaurs, Fossil Dig, maybe. They build a big board. They use Anti-Spell to keep their Quatless alive so that the Quatless can actually still negate stuff. Basically, the biggest problem for them is not really Lightning Storm, but Dark Ruler No More. Shutting off their entire board, they have to commit a lot of resources to build that board. And let's just say some combo decks are clunkier than others, have more weaknesses during the play establishment, and Dinosaurs usually can bypass that. But once they get stunned out and the board is established, it's really hard. But they can still win by using just Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. And Altergeist, again, it's just counterplay. Not really that big of a deal. You can use it to stun out some other cards like, I don't know, Pot of Extravagance. Really, I don't think they run very many spells, so it's pretty bad against them. But they might use it just to stop you from blowing up their stuff with like Lightning Storms. As for our tech lineup, we have Dark Ruler No More, Lightning Storm Evenly, Sphere Mode, Red Reboot, and Cosmic Cyclone. These are some of the most popular ones out there. There's also Twin Twister in there, and a pointer of the Red Lotus for Adamantipator-based players. I'm just not going to include them because those are just the counter side, and Cosmic Cyclone kind of cover Twin Twisters very similarly, all right? But yeah, a pointer of the Red Lotus is technically here as well. It's just good across the board. So for Dark Ruler No More, anything that's combo board based, then they can all completely get wiped. Adamantispators, Dragon Link, of course they have a counterplay to you, which would be siding in Imperial Order, siding in the Pointer of the Red Lotus, even Anti-Spell Fragrance, just to slow it down so that they can keep their board just one extra turn and stop you from playing. That's more than enough to actually secure victory in most cases, which is why that still exists. But against Adamantispators, you can wipe their entire combo board. Against Eldritch, you would only stop anything that is non-Eldritch. Most of the Eldritch stuff would be a Sanguine and a Conquistador that's still alive in the back, and that could probably happen during the battle phase, which is why some people use anti-spell arrows to kind of stun them out, not letting them activate. It's pretty rough if you have both. Whew, that's good on you, but they can't die. That's the big problem. They can't die. And for the rest of them, Dragon Links, they have a combo board. Great. FTK, you're still dead. If it's an FTK, what are you going to really do about it? Then there's Salamangreat. They don't really care about anything aside from the name sticking on the board, so that all the traps can still activate. So Dark Ruler no more really doesn't do anything, and the Balinks in the graveyard can still use its effect to protect the board. As for dinosaurs, that's one thing they can't really stop. They don't really play spells and traps to my knowledge, so that's fine. As for Altergeist, it doesn't work because they have Protocol. Protocol will keep everything alive in terms of their effects, since their effects cannot be negated, and their activated effects also cannot be negated. So it's like double play right there that counters to your Dark Ruler no more. They just gotta flip the card and it's fine. As for Lightning Storm and Evenly, let's just reveal them both. They are a 2+ requirement. You need to use something else ahead of time, or use Lightning Storm as the card to force and bait out certain things. The reason why is because most people that are smart, they put most of their stuff in defense mode by game 2. It's just a fact, because Lightning Storm could wipe their board, but Link monsters are the ones that are obviously going to go down the drain because they don't have a defense mode. So you could use that to bait out Lightning Storm. But for it to be truly effective, it needs to have, either you're using Lightning Storm purposely to bait stuff out, or maybe you're using it to clear back row. If you're clearing back row, it sucks for the person that's getting their back row destroyed. But in any case, against Adamantispators, it's mainly just a bait. They might let it go through because maybe it's only one Link monster that you're dealing with. Aside from that, everything else is in defense mode. They'll be fine. They won't really care as long as they still have the other negations to keep their board alive. As for Eldritch, blow up their back row. They won't really care because they might be able to activate out the back row. But aside from that, maybe you try to blow up the front row. That's okay too, but it really depends on the timing. Aside from that, blowing up the back row does open up a timing for you to counterattack, so that you don't have to deal with the Hakero, the Conquistador, and that's really about it. As for the Dragon Link, if they FTK you, there's no point having a Lightning Storm. It's just way too slow. But if they're going for, say, a VFD play, you'll kill an Appaloosa maybe, but you're probably going to leave the Savage and the VFD still on the board. So that is a bit yikes. Next, Salamangreat. You can't blow up the front row because Balinks is still going to be there, so you need 2+ cards for it to be effective. But you can definitely bait out the counter trap, and once you bait out the counter trap, you still need something else to deal with the rage or whatever floodgate that's still in the back row. Dinosaurs, they have miscellaneous to protect the monsters, but in case that they want to keep something else alive that's non-dinosaur, they have Quatless that they left on the board to protect that. Altergeist, ooh, this is the fun one. You get to blow up their entire back row unless they have Solemn Judgment. I think that's really about it. It really hurts them unless they have Hexia as well. Hexia they can protect. That's right, like Evenly match, kind of the same deal, but against Adamantispators, you just bait out the Omni Negates and they can evenly and wipe the entire board. Against Eldritch, bait the counter trap and then drop the evenly, wipe the entire board, which is great because Anti-Spell Fragrance and the other ones don't really stop this card, which is why you see it everywhere. Against Dragon Link, well, if they're FTKing, you're dead. If they got their VFD play plus the hand loop, it's still okay. You can still wipe the board, but they'll still have a VFD that you have to answer to. But you can outgrind them afterwards because their extra deck is probably down to like almost nothing if they are playing an older build. Next we have Salamangreats, bait and counter, bait the counter trap, and wipe the entire board. Yay, that's pretty easy. Dinosaurs, since they mostly interact in the main phase, Evenly does hurt, but they can use Quatless definitely to protect against the Evenly. That's the key point there. But if you get Dark Ruler, then Evenly, well, you're screwed either way. You're done. Against Altergeist, Solemn Judgment, some of them side Lancia just to protect themselves from against Evenly, because Evenly is just that painful of a card to actually answer. And since everything gets banished, they don't even get to recycle any of the resources. They either need Solemn Judgment or Lancia. Sphere mode, combo boards, non-Eldritch cards. Again, it's basically the same as Dark Ruler No More. It's like a Dark Ruler No More plus, I guess, the Smashy Rock. Yeah, so combo boards get ripped apart against Eldritch, any of your non-Eldritch cards. The thing about Sphere mode is really hard to kind of collect here, because if you're playing Eldritch, if you only have 2 monsters, it's not really that good. But if you activate your stuff, put up, say, your Eldritch cards, then they can Sphere mode you. which is kind of interesting. It opens up the play again, but it really depends on the timing there. But I think it's mainly for combo boards. Dragon Link combo boards, but you get FTK, you're still dead. Salamangreats don't put enough bodies on the field. Dinosaurs, they have a combo board, so they can also get Sphere Mode, and Sphere Mode is one thing that they can't really stop since it's a summon condition. And Altergeist, they don't put enough bodies on board, nor would you want to side in Sphere Mode against them. It's really bad. Okay, so last two, Red Reboot, Cosmic Cyclone. Let's reveal them off because they're basically the same stuff here. Red Reboot just stuns out anything with traps, and if your deck does not run traps, you can expect that Red Reboot won't be sided against you. It's really bad. Eldritch, you can stop any of the Eldritch cards, and you can even bait out the counter trap, bait the counter trap, and stun them out from having any more trap interaction, which means you don't have to deal with the generic pop like Conquistador, or even block monsters from being summoned out. But be very careful, time it right, please, because Golden Land Forever is still a card that can counter your Red Reboot, and you might pay half your life for no apparent reason. That part will really suck. You can use Red Reboot to roar check them. You can make sure that the roar is gone for good. You can bait out the roar first, so that the counter, and then you Red Reboot them, they can't use their rage, and then you can wipe their board just clean right off, and there's no real fear. But there is a problem if they do flip their Gozen match ahead of time, and that is, then you're still gonna have to answer to that because that's not negated. As for Altergeist, if you Red Reboot them, they better have a Solemn Judgment, or they're screwed. There's nothing much more to add. They might run their own Red Reboot to counter you, so there's that too. Then there's Cosmic Cyclones. Hit the Eldritch cards. You can either hit the Conquistador so it doesn't come out and doesn't pop your card, which is really important. As for Cosmic Cyclone against Salamangreat, it forces some of the back row to go off. It forces like the Rage go off, forces the just force, and it 100% will force the Roar to go off as well because they want it in the graveyard so they can reset it later on. Against Altergeist, you can also use the Force cards, and you can use it even as a counterplay to some of their continuous traps so that they don't even get their effects. So Cosmic Cyclone for the win. That is the entire lineup, guys. And that's all I got for this video, guys. If I missed anything, if you guys want to add anything, leave it down in the comment section below. I would love to learn as much as you guys. Really appreciate you guys for commenting, sticking around. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and ding the notification bell. Especially if you want to see more segments like this. It happens every now and then. It's just that currently there's no real live tournaments going on, so it doesn't really get updated as much. But you know, I'd like to keep you guys up to date with recent techs and whatnot, what people are doing, what people are countering, and if you're gonna be playing on online tournaments, well, here's a guide, here's a cheat sheet for you guys to kind of understand what is being used against what, why are some things effective, why are some things not, and of course I'd appreciate your knowledge as well. So thumbs up to you guys, love you guys for being so awesome, sticking with this video, and that's all we got now. So if anything, don't forget to hold on to MST.TV, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Maybe there'll be a funny skit coming up.